young spacefarers, listen to me. I'll sing you a song of our fish from the sea. And it's windy weather, or stormy weather. When the wind blows, then we're all together. Boys, blow ye winds, French word, blow ye winds, blow. Out to the galaxy, steady she goes. Comes the great dragon in search of our...
Stellaris Aquatics has just dropped, which means it is once again time to take a deeper look at this species pack and see if it is worth your hard-earned dollary dues. There's quite a lot of stuff to go through here because, well, Aquatics brings a reasonable amount of stuff to the table. Let's dive right into Stellaris Aquatics and whether or not you should buy it. Of course, new content is always good, but we're going to have to list them before we go into detail. New origins are being added in this pack. Here be dragons, where an ancient mythological beast will sit in your home system, as well as Ocean Paradise, which is essentially the seeded life origin on steroids. There's also a new trait, Aquatic, and ironically, or interestingly enough, this is not locked to species. So essentially, you can have almost any species that is aquatic. There's a new Civic called Anglers. We'll dive a little bit deeper into that. A new Ascension perk that has some very interesting mechanics behind it, and of course, the cosmetics. Let's take a look at those cosmetics because they are rather interesting. As with any species pack, Aquatics comes with a brand new set of species portraits, and they range from the rather recognizable to the straight up bizarre, but there is a bunch of them for you to pick from, and for any role player, these are going to be a great way to really specialize your species from a aesthetic point of view, because there are a wide range of things to pick from the vaguely necroid to this thing over here to this thing over here, and then there is tree water thing. Of course, you have a wide range of things to play with. Now, the important thing here is as well that these portraits do not come with a baked-in trait. Unlike lithoids, you do not have a baked-in trait. We'll go a little bit deeper about the trait very shortly, but I just want to bring that up right now, and we'll discuss what kind of impact that has to the game. And I think actually there is a lot of value to be had there. But still, we've got ourselves this stuff going on here. Hi, this is editing ASpec from the future. I want to point out that somebody on Reddit noticed that during the announcement date for the release anyway, the dolphin, which has subsequently been referred to as the Swolphin, was wearing significantly less clothes than the final result from the key art. Now, I have the key art right here, and I would like to point out that in the layering system, Dolph, as he is so much, or they are so much referred to, actually are a little bit interesting because they appear to have a closed layer. Oh my god. Look at those pecs. That's, oh my, oh. Care to explain what you're actually looking at? Smut. And on top of that, we have ourselves a brand new advisor called the Aquatic Advisor.
Honest work means hard labor, low wages, and no fun. I prefer to make a living by more adventurous means.
Then there is, of course, the ships from the tiny Corvette, which is quite gorgeous, to the destroyer, the cruiser, the battleship, the Titan, and everything above that. There are some beautifully designed ships in this particular set, and they really outshine anything else on the market in terms of Stellaris ship sets. I will go so far as to say they look better than Lithoids, which to me is still the best looking, previously the best looking ship set within the game. And it's really a nice departure from the Imperial ship set that we got previously, at least in the previous update, with a lot of beautifully visualized ideas, a lot of systems involved with a lot of detail, to the point that a lot of detail is going to get lost because it's so intricate that you're never going to see it. There's a lot of details on these ships that you will never see in game and only in the ship appearance system, which is rather unfortunate because a lot of love and effort have gone into these ships. I would like to point out, however, that the Colossus in particular feels a little bit underwhelming until it is deployed. It kind of feels like a pointy tube in space, and some of the other Colossi, particularly the humanoid one and the mammalian one, feel a lot better, a lot more imposing, which I think is really something that's really important for a Colossus to have. And I really don't get that feeling from the Aquatics Colossus. The Juggernaut, on the other hand, is fantastic. It looks gorgeous. In addition to that, the, well, let's put it this way. The Titan, once again, looks like a coral reef with boosters strapped on top of it and a giant gun on the front. It is gorgeous, and I love it. But aesthetics aside, it's time to take a look at the underlying mechanics of this particular update. And there are a bunch of them, and they all synergize extremely well. And the Paradox team is doing a couple of very interesting things with this particular update, where the mechanics, specifically the traits as well as the origins, really work together with each other extremely well. Unlike other species pack where appearances were tied to traits, for instance, in this particular case it is locked to your type of homeworld. If you have a ocean world, you have the ability to run the aquatic trait. Now the aquatic trait by itself is rather cool. Basically what it does is it improves your ocean habitability by plus 20%, and if you are on an ocean world you will have a reduced usage of housing, effectively meaning you can squeeze more pops into apartments, or make smaller apartments and squeeze more pops into that. In addition to that, on ocean worlds you will get additional food, additional energy, and additional mineral output, which by itself is really, really good. But if you are on a non-wet world, and basically that is defined by these categories, the dry, the wet, and the frozen, you will not have those particular bonuses. So you will have a increase in housing usage, you'll have a decrease in habitability, and that sort of thing. That basically implies that you really want to work on ocean worlds, on continental worlds, or tropical worlds. And basically that means that you really are going to focus on those types of worlds, or very heavily on the terraforming side of things. Now the Herbert update that comes free as alongside of this update, or this expansion, has new terraforming mechanics as part of it, which makes this really interesting. I'm really interested in how this is going to work. In addition to that, Aquatic, if you have the new Ascension perk called Hydrocentric adds a couple of unique modifiers to your trait. This is the only real Ascension perk that boosts one of your existing traits. And effectively what it does is it improves your performance by 50%, increasing food, energy, and mineral production on worlds by a total of 15 rather than 10, as well as houses usage, etc., etc. But in addition to that, the negative modifiers on the non-wet worlds are also part of that, making Aquatic a fascinating min-max trait. And there is a lot of compatibility with this as well. Considering the trait is attached to a ocean world, it means that you can have all sorts of really janky setup. For instance, this plantoid, yes, a plantoid aquatic species that is running budding radiotrophic in combination with aquatic. But you can also link lithoid into this. This is a lithoid species that lives forever, but are also aquatic, which then will generate even more of those basic materials. And in addition, again, you can have that hydrocentric bonus in order to boost things, which is incredibly cool. I love it when traits can be used in creative ways. Previously, for instance, lithoids, the trait was locked to that particular type of species pack, or at least that particular portrait, which thankfully the team is no longer doing, which is really cool. Now let's quickly dive into Hydrocentric and what it actually does. As I mentioned, it gives you access to the additional bonuses for Aquatic, but in addition to that, it will give you bonuses to other things, and those are quite unique. If we actually dive into one of my save files here that I have actually prepared for this, if you go to the hydrocentric setup here, basically what it does is it will reduce ocean terraforming costs. Once again, really tying into that terraforming aspect of things. In addition to that, you will get access to the ice mining stations, which allow you to expand your ocean worlds, basically adding additional water to your planets. And that is very similar to, say, Mastery of Nature, and I will give you an example here. This is a ocean world that was originally size, I want to say 18, but due to the usage of the Expand Planetary Sea mechanic, which you can only use 3 times, it has increased the amount of districts that are available on this planet, as well as the amount of population that is available on this planet, which is very cool. I love mechanics that increase the sizes of worlds. In addition to that, though, there is also the system around Deluge. Now, Deluge is a brand new system for the Colossus project. Now, Colossi, as they are portrayed in the game at the moment, and we will quickly go to our Colossus as they are hanging above a planet over here, basically can use the brand new Deluge system, and they are of course specified in the weapons profile, and basically it will drown a planet and instantly terraform it to an ocean world ready for you to colonize. And all of these little systems that are tied into each other really make for some really interesting mechanics. Would you ever go for hydrocentric if you're not playing as Aquatic? No, absolutely not. There is no reason to take hydrocentric if you are not Aquatic, or basically because of all the boosts that it gives you. There's always a better choice in this particular scenario. But I really like how this all synergizes, and you can use this over a wide range of species, giving you a lot of flexibility. I really like this. Then there is the 2 origins that come with this particular update, and it is, of course, Here Be Dragons and Ocean Paradise. Now, both of these add some interesting little setups, specifically Here Be Dragons, which is a more role-playing orientated setup where a large dragon hangs around your planet and you can interact with it in multiple ways. I've already played with this particular setup multiple times, and I've gone through the entire event chain, and overall it's really interesting, and especially the outcome. I'm not going to spoil it here. We'll have a mechanical video later this week, but still, Here Be Dragons adds a very interesting spin on the idea of a Leviathan hanging out in your home system, and you can appease it or get angry at it, and all sorts of things can happen with it. Basically, as the thing says, you start with a space dragon roaming your home system, and it may protect you from harm, but it could also be angry. And this is really cool. I really like this. The outcome of it is interesting as well. You may or may not be able to get some unique units out of it, which is pretty awesome. But that's pretty much all I'm going to say about Here Be Dragons. It's a nice little flavor addition. Ocean Paradise, on the other hand, is a purely mechanical origin. I love myself some mechanical origins like Clone Army or Necrophage. But Ocean Paradise adds some of the most unique modifiers that I have ever seen. First of all, you start on an ocean world that is size 30. And on top of this ocean world, you will get a lot of food deposits. You will get a bonus that increases happiness and pop growth, as well as general output, which cannot be underestimated. But instead of getting guaranteed ocean worlds nearby, you will get frozen worlds. Now, those frozen worlds actually really tie in to the hydrocentric Ascension perk. You will need to go hydrocentric if you are going to be playing with this origin. Again, everything synergizes really nicely. Why do you need to get hydrocentric? Because it will allow you to increase the size of your homeworld by using these frozen worlds that are nearby. Essentially, you are transporting ice from those places to your homeworld so that you can increase the size of your capital, all the way up to 35 if you throw Mastery of Nature into the mix. This is very much a one planet challenge until you get to about the half game where you start to unlock terraforming. as well as the hydrocentric Ascension itself. And then, of course, you're on your way to get the Colossus to get even more places up and running. But you really want to do so much with terraforming, and the new terraforming events that have come with the game with the Frank Herbert update really ties into that. And I really like this approach. Like, the whole idea of adding another one planet challenge-ish approach to the game is really, really fun. You get a gigantic homeworld for you to play around with. Sure, you do not get additional building slots, but the amount of districts that you will have to play with is insane. It is really, really interesting to play with this, especially if you add mechanics from other things into the mix, so other expansions and that sort of thing. And that brings us to the Civic that comes with this particular update. It is, of course, Anglers. Now, Anglers is fascinating, but what does it do? Basically, on all of your planets, or at least all your wet planets, specifically ocean worlds, let's go to Porterden in this particular case. Basically, what it does is it replaces all of your farmers that are down here with anglers. Now, anglers will be producing food, but also trade value, effectively increasing your economy in addition to getting food. Plus, it will also generate a secondary job called a Pearl Diver. Pearl Divers will turn minerals and food into consumer goods as well as trade value. This basically means that this, in combination with your standard forges and industrial complexes and stuff like that, you will never have to worry about consumer goods ever again. This basically means that you can infinitely boost consumer goods and just distribute them all over the shop for as long as you want. It is incredibly nice to have this, and especially if you mix this up with the Plantoid's catalytic processing Civic, you will never have to use minerals ever again. Plus, the amount of food that you're going to get from your anglers is really going to subsidize your economy. It is incredibly good, this particular combo. I really, really like it. Anglers is one of those Civics that really synergizes with others, and once again, in this particular case, with catalytic processing, and it's good. You need the aquatic trait in order to run it. There's a lot of little modifiers on this, and you get 2 additional jobs, which is always nice. But once again, if you are running as aquatic, at least, some of the aquatic setups, you will never have to deal with, districts ever again, because you'll be able to get infinite districts in this particular case. Because basically what it does is it uncaps your agricultural districts, which means that you can build as many agricultural districts as you want, as long as there are slots available. It works in a very similar way as city districts in this regard, and you can just go ham. It's really nice. I really like it. It's a nice little bonus to have, and it works really well with some existing mechanics. In the end, you have to ask yourself this: is Aquatics worth the money? Well, there's 2 ways of looking at it. If you are a brand new player, then no, Aquatics is not necessarily something you need to pick up. The features that are here are definitely supplementary to the game. There are no hardcore underlying mechanics that will basically affect every single one of your playthroughs. Therefore, if you are a new player, stick to the bigger expansions. However, if you are somebody who has been enjoying Stellaris for a long time and you just want more of it, then Aquatics is a great addition to your collection. The Civic, the new Origins, as well as all the aesthetics will give you hundreds of additional play hours to enjoy, which is always good. Aquatics themselves, they look extremely good. The systems themselves, the Origin, the Civics, they are extremely creative and done in a way that I haven't seen before in any of the expansions so far, and I really hope the developers are going to continue to develop their game in this general direction. But yeah, if you are new, it's definitely something you may want to look at, but not necessary. If you are a returning player, go ahead and pick it up. It will add a lot of interesting gameplay to any of your existing stories. Stellaris Aquatics is available now and retails for $9.99 and or local equivalent. Always make sure you go and check out whether or not there's any sales available because, well, Stellaris expansions as well as the games itself tends to be on sale all over the place, so consider that as a helpful tip. I want to thank my patrons for making this video possible today, and of course you, dear viewer. If you like this and you're not subscribed just yet, go ahead and do so. It's very much appreciated. I'm also interested in what you have to say about aquatics. What do you think about the Swolvin? Is they ever everything you've ever dreamt about? Maybe. Not for me. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, take good care of yourselves, and as always, just keep swimming. Just keep swimming.
Out to the galaxy steady she goes.
What you looking at? Smut? Dolphin? Smut?